Well, my message today is going to be on the blind leading the blind. This is a message that is very, very close to my heart. We had let me change that. When I was a young Christian, in my younger days, I went to a church and I listened to everything that preacher told me. I believed what that preacher told me. But one day, I looked and I checked. No. Okay. We're gonna do a little skit here for you real quick. We're gonna kind of give you an idea on how the blind leads the blind, and whenever you have your eyes open, then you can see where you're going and what you're doing. As you can see, with your eyes open, and you can see they follow. They're right behind each other. They do. They see. And they're able to walk in a line. No matter whether you're going around a curve, whether you drop down a hill or in a mountain, you're still able to see where you're going. But then let's see what happens here whenever we are blind and we can't see what we're doing. The only thing we have is our voice. We hear the voice, but we don't know where we're going. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're going to run into. And the whole lesson behind this is, hey, let's keep our eyes open no matter what we're doing. Whether it be for church, our work, friends, whatever. Let's keep our eyes open. Let's don't let a blind person lead us. Let's know where we're going. Let's be able to see what we're doing.
Where'd she go?
Let's give the young one a hand, okay? Good job. Okay, I want to read you a little story today. And again, the story is called Blind Leading the Blind. In South Dakota, Indians, in late fall, and the Indians on a remote reservation in South Dakota asked their new chief, is the coming winter was going to be cold or mild? Since he was a chief of a modern society, he had never been taught the old secrets or the old ways of the old chiefs to look at the sky and know what the weather was going to be. So when he looked up the sky, he couldn't tell what the winter was going to be like. Nevertheless, to be on the safe side, he told his tribe the winter was indeed going to be cold, and the members of the village should collect firewood to be prepared. But being a practical leader, after several days he got the idea. So he went to the phone booth, called the National Weather Service, and asked, is this coming winter going to be cold? It looks like this winter is going to be quite cold, the meteorologist at the Weather Service responded. So the chief went back to his people and told them to collect even more firewood in order to be prepared. A week later, still wondering and worrying about it, he called the National Weather Service again. Does it still look like it's going to be a very cold winter, he asked. Yes, the man at the National Weather Service again replied. It's going to be very cold winter. The chief again went back to his people in order to collect every scrap of firewood that he could find. 2 weeks later, after all the tribe had got all the firewood they could get, collected it all up and everything, 2 weeks later the chief called the National Weather Service again. Are you absolutely sure the winter is going to be very cold? Absolutely, the man replied. It's looking more and more like it's going to be one of the coldest winters we've ever seen. And the chief asked, how can you be sure? The weatherman replied, the Indians are collecting firewood like crazy. So here we go again, blind leading the blind. Okay. There's a lot of things in our life that we stumble upon. And we stumble because we're not opening our eyes, we're not watching where we're going or what we're doing. We're listening to somebody else. We're following somebody else. When this happens, we become a blind person. Because we don't know. We don't check. We don't read. We don't ask somebody else that you have a little more faith in than yourself. And we'll give you another little story here. Yeah, most of you know I work at Subway, of course. Also, I'm a manager there, so I do all the training of the employees that come in, all the new ones. I had a new employee. He was like, they were like, let's change that. I don't want to give you an idea who it might be. They were like 20 or 21. No, Judy, it wasn't you. Judy was a great employee, by the way, let me tell you. No wonder why she was there, she was wonderful. But anyway, they were like 20 or 21 years of age or something like that. I spent almost a whole week training this person. I taught him the right way to do things. I showed him how to do this, how to cut the bread, how to make the sandwiches, how to treat the customers, and so forth and so on down the line. So one day I thought, oh, he's doing really good, right? So I'm there, come in one night after he's been there a week or so, and I'm standing there watching these guys work. Well, here this guy is following, walking behind this other person, doing everything this other person does. So I thought, well, we're going to ask this guy some questions here, see this person's questions, see what's going on here. So I give him a situation on how you were supposed to do this certain job. You know what he told me? I don't know, I just follow this person around and do what they do. Okay, well, needless to say, this person's no longer with us, okay? But again, there we go. Blind leading the blind. Blind leading the blind. There's a few scriptures in here that in the Bible that Jesus speaks of blind leading the blind. The Pharisees, for one. They didn't understand what Jesus was speaking of. This is in Luke, by the way. And they didn't understand what Jesus was speaking of, so they went some other way. And Jesus came to them and he told them, you can't worship idols. But they were trying to bring other people in that were believers in Jesus to worship with them. You can't do this. It's blind leading the blind again because they do not know what they're doing. They do not know what they are doing. Okay, Matthew's another one. Matthew 15:12-14. I'll read that one real quick for you. Then the disciples came to him and asked, do you know what the Pharisees, this is another one of the Pharisees, were offended when they heard the story that Jesus told earlier? He replied, every plant that my heavenly Father has not planted will be pulled up by the roots. Leave them. They are blind guides. If a blind man leads a blind man, both will fall into the pit. As you see with the children. Even though we have to take into consideration who was leading there. Joking. You know I'm joking.